for now, I'm going to GM. With Bitcoin pushing towards all-time highs, so if you saw yesterday, or last night, or this morning, weekly outlook, I mentioned about BTC and it going to all-time high this week. And probably from there, we would reject, at least initially. But it depends. This is the thing I was looking at last night, was that you'd see Bitcoin try to hit the highs and then drop back inside. Reason being is we see quite a build-up here of short-term positioning, which is not necessarily bearish, although, where am I going here? Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. It's not necessarily bearish, but we do have on this push quite a build-up of open interest, outpacing price. So, especially since the lows of last night, where we had that set up, OI is up 7% from those lows, and price is up about 3%. So we've new positions opening. You can see the funding is ticked up to a higher level. Both funding and premium are at unsustainable levels. Again, this whole stuff about open interest funding, not really. Funding and premium are more of a clear signal, but the open interest side of things, it is actually hard to tell what is unsustainable open interest, because of course, when you're moving through to new levels in a market, right? So when we're rising like this, it's hard to know, as the open interest rises, where are people going to willingly take profit? Where are people going to be forced to close their positions? But for me, none of that really matters, because as a trader, you stick with your objective rules. And I would say that BTC will be unable to break out from here and hold a breakout with the funding at this, the open interest, at this level. We came up to 90. Open interest touched 18.3 notional. That was enough to stop the market briefly. We then had a big push of open interest as price tried to break out to 93, 94. It fully round tripped. We then had pushes here where again open interest pushes us up into resistance. It fully reverses. Then we have this nice compression that we're in. We're trying to break out from the compression, but the problem is there's a massive spike of open interest. This move is entirely led by perps, which again doesn't mean that we're bearish or that it's going to go down. It would say though that there must be something else at play here, right? Because the market can run hot for much longer than you would think. For example, here, big spike up in open interest that never came back. So again, open interest has to be carefully managed. You don't want to overemphasize it in the early part of a speculation-driven rally. It's just to say that any signs of weakness, which there are none yet, any signs of weakness, I would expect Bitcoin to reverse and move back down. And when it does, there's probably a bunch of stops over here and stops here and stops here and stops here and all that. But like with what I said on Weekly Outlook, that probably comes from higher. So my expectation would be that we're going to hit these highs. Now, where's the chart I had from yesterday? Yeah, here we go. It's the chart I had from Weekly Outlook mentioning watching us push above and seeing then if it's able to push above and stay or if it's not. So really simple. We have this session VWAP from Bitcoin's big move on Monday of last week. And the move from Monday has shown a strong push all the way from 80 to 90. So we went from 80 to 90 in 1 week, one day. And then we've held up there for the rest of that week. And now we're trying for the first time to actually break and hold above +3. First time since Wednesday, I suppose. But you've seen how the market has moved through the VWAP levels perfectly. Front running the VWAP from previous Monday. That's good. So it's coming back. If you're looking at this in terms of what is a strong trend, it's not even able to come back to the VWAP, which is like the moving average or the mid price, if you want to use a comparison. It's not even able to come back to the midpoint of that level. And it goes to +1, +2, +3, and flips them, each of them, from support into resistance, or from resistance into support, and so on. And so right now, we have to stay above the +3. Pretty simple, right? Now, if it sells off from here again, then it depends really. Once we lose this low here, right? So this candle I just showed is clearly a big high OI push. So getting anything below there probably means we go down to the +2 and start to flush some of these stops, and likely it holds there initially, and you see altcoins starting to run. The main thing to watch here is where's Bitcoin's local support and local resistance. So currently this is local resistance. If we're able to get above the +3 and run, then you're looking at all-time high, and I do think we'll hit it. And at all-time high, if you see price stalling out at all, you want to be watching open interest. I'll keep you updated and see, are people chasing this on leverage? And it's just really simple. If people keep trying to long the top on leverage, it will just keep failing. But it will not be bearish. It will just keep holding, and eventually, once people stop trying to long the top, or there's just so much demand, we will break out. My guess would be, of course, if we do fail this breakout, if there is too much short-term positioning chasing it, we are going to get a retracement back down, probably for the 200 EMA on the 1 hour to catch up, and for price to hold there. That's if it doesn't unwind deeper. So you need to think as well, right? I'm certain that the demand here is genuine, right? So the demand here is genuine, the demand here is genuine, and over here, I think so too. I would be less certain about how strong this demand here is. It doesn't seem to be, super well tested. It was set on a Sunday and then retested early on Monday. So I would say this level has not been fully retested. I don't think that this 90K, let's call it 90K as support. It's 89.6, 90K, right? 90K as support, I don't think has been confirmed on a lower time frame. And so if you're looking at this attempt to sell off was on Tuesday after the strong trend day of Monday. So it tried to break down Tuesday, was unable to, rallied up, set a higher low, moved up again after the big failed breakout, coming all the way back where you should expect the market to collapse if it's weak or if there's real selling. Comes back, sets a higher low across Thursday and Friday, multiple tests. So this kind of 86, 87 area is very, very, very clearly genuine demand. I don't have the same level of certainty or confidence about this area. Because like I said, 90K has been resistance the whole way. So if we look at the nature of price, so we're looking at this price action, 90K resistance makes total sense. Why would people not sell 90K the first time when it rallies up so much? Tries to get above, comes back below, can't hold 90. 90 is resistance, holds 90, but on a Sunday. Holds 90, but on a Sunday. And then retests 90 once on a Monday. And there we are now. Like, it's not as if we have made new highs yet. So again, I would say most likely, I think we try to break out. If people get too excited, you see too much short-term positioning chasing, then that breakout will fail and we'll come back to 90. And if 90 can hold, we're off to the races. 90 holds, it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin breaks out, because in an uptrend, this is how, if you take a look at price action of moves that aren't going to pull back, right? So whenever there's strong moves that are not going to pull back because there's so much demand, you just tend to see price action that mirrors this. And so maybe this time's different, but I would say, no, it's not. And so in this entire period here, there's two parts to it, obviously. You've got the first part from October 2023, and I'll just go onto a 4-hour chart or a 1-hour chart. You'll see how this works. The way that markets move and the markets rise, whenever it's a bullish market with a lot of demand underneath, is you have lots of pumps, and the pumps fail. So the pumps retrace, but they retrace back to support, and they don't make lower lows. And it pumps up, and it looks like it's going to break out, and it drops back. And it pumps up, and it drops back. And when it gets up into this higher end here, exact same thing, right? You have pumps, and they fully retrace. And you have pumps, and they pull back, and pumps, and they retrace. And then you set wider ranges. So for example, this move started on the 7th of November, pushed all the way up into Thursday, into the 9th, way too much positioning chasing it. We retrace the whole thing. That all creates a higher low. And then you see this wild volatility, but actually just in a moving upwards fashion and with a wider range. Because at the end of the day, there is genuine demand there. And so the buyers have to keep stepping their buys up and up and up and up and up. And then the sort of short-term leverage traders keep chasing in to each of these pumps. And they get chopped up. So that's the nature of where I think we're at right now. I don't think we're like at this later stage unless you see something like this kind of move. And it will be roughly proportional, right? So think about it this way. If we come back to from here, right? If this market just breaks out above 94, so if we just touch above the highs like this, like we did, sort of on Wednesday, expect it to just retrace back to where we started from, come back to the origin. But if you saw like that all-time high run, I mean, the higher it goes in the short term, if we could very, very conceivably run to 100K from here, if you get one of these like lockout trends, right? And if it were to do that and you run to 100K just all at once, well, you know what that sets up, right? That leaves behind all of this massive inefficiency, all of these stops, all of everything. And of course, you can see it just flush straight down. And that's because the demand will be genuine. But if you go from 90 to 100 in a short space of time, people are going to take profit. And you're going to run out of buyers. There's not going to be anyone, in the short term, there's not going to be anybody willing to buy 100 the first time. There's going to be plenty of people willing to sell it. And then as it drops back, you probably won't. This is why like inefficiency matters. It depends on how it gets there. Because if it gets there pretty much in one go with no pullbacks, how many people are willing to buy 98 or 96 or 94? Probably not that many. And then it doesn't stair step down like this. It tends to just flush and then retrace back upwards. But the thing with all this is, you've got people waiting for this, right? People don't want to get long. They don't want to buy because they feel like it's already up too much. If I buy 93 and I'm wrong, I feel like an idiot. Yeah, so it's like, that's why it keeps going higher. It keeps grinding higher because there is actual demand there. And people are still sidelined clearly on Bitcoin. And then there's the big risk, which is, what if Bitcoin just goes up forever in an insane parabolic bull run and other stuff doesn't actually go up that much? Because this idea of alt season is not guaranteed. Of course, I mean, as a trader, individually, you'll always be getting good positions and finding alts, but you have to think more so like how the average person thinks about crypto and how much euphoria would they have. So the average person doesn't own Bitcoin, number one. Like, no way. Any person on the street that owns Bitcoin is not an average person. They obviously have, if they buy and hold and own Bitcoin, they obviously know much more than your typical like dumb money. But many people, your typical like retail dumb money, the people you would talk about as being buying the top or whatever, own loads of altcoins, probably from last cycle, or maybe they've come back in and saw Bitcoin go up, so they've bought a bunch of alts. But they're not doing like what you do, or what I do, which is working all day, studying, and finding like, oh yeah, it's actually memes this time, but you can't just buy any meme, you have to be selective about it, and you have to have, good chart setups and stuff breaking out of accumulation. The essence of trading and analyzing the market like this is that you're going to find stuff that actually has momentum or can move, whereas they're just going to have insert any shitcoin, to where you look then at total 3, even though it's doing well. So most people holding crypto will be holding stuff that's actually still underwater, right? Because they would have had it from there. They would have had it from at some point last cycle towards one of the tops. And this was a long time, right? This was over a month, and this was like 3 months. So it was actually more, it's 4 or 5 months where prices were up to this level. And I think it's easy to forget how long some of these trash coins spent at really high prices. And even stuff that's not like super trash, but it is trash, like Avalanche, like spent a long time above its first all-time high. Like it spent basically all of September, all of October, all of November, all of December, January, February, March, April, May. I mean, this was well into the bear market that AVAX was all above $60. And now look at it, it's 35. And its entire bull market rally of the first leg was just a retracement. It was just a retest of that bearish zone. Like, how many people are trapped there? Loads. So when you're in crypto like we are, it's easy to get way too zoomed in and think, holy shit, like this must be the end. This must be super euphoric. And it's like, this is not even remotely close. If you're looking at what a typical top signal would be, which is like, you know, the dumbest people who put no effort in and are just tourists making loads of money, doesn't exist yet. Because the way